Okay, so we have a website built on Webflow, and it's time to basically wrap this project up, do the final cleanups and setups so that we can either publish it or transfer it to our client. So let's start with the last finishing touches that we have to do. The first thing we want to do is just to clean up all of the assets that we don't need, just so that we have a cleaner project, that it loads faster. So let's just throw in, a lot of time during the build process, we generate a lot of stuff that we don't end up using. And so let's clean it up so we'll have a clean and efficient website. The first thing that I want to look at is the assets. Now, in this case, I've only uploaded the assets that we need, but in real life project, a lot of time you will upload assets and then you will decide, well, I don't need this asset, I'll upload a different asset. So you will have a very an asset panel with tons of images. A lot of them you're not actually using, and it just creates clutter, and it will be difficult next time you want to look for something to handle it. So one thing you want to do is you can open up the expand the assets panel right here, and you can actually go to select all, and you can actually delete all of your assets. Now this is actually quite scary, like no, but some of these images I do use. But what is going to happen is if you delete these assets that are actually used in the website are actually not being deleted, and it actually says this here, asset won't be deleted if they exist on published website. So basically what this does is you will delete it, then you will just reload the designer, Webflow's designer, and you will see you'll have back all the assets that you're using, but all the assets that you're not using are just going to be deleted. So you'll have a clean assets panel. So this is the first thing. This next thing you want to do is open up the style selector and click this cleanup here. And this will tell you that, you see, we created a few classes here that we ended up not using. And so this is code. This is CSS code that is being loaded to every page of the website that we're loading. So there's no need for that. We can just clean and hit remove here, and that's just going to clean this up. And the same thing we can actually do for interactions. We can go here. We'll have right now. I don't have the interactions that I'm using, but if we had, I could have put that up, and that's some additional code that we just so just make this part of your checkout process when you finish a website. Just do this little cleanup and make sure that you're finishing with a great website, clean website. Next, I want to go into the site settings, and I want to make sure that the things that we have here, I want to review these. So first one is we've got the favicons, and favicons is basically the icon that you have on the top of the tab, and you want to make sure that you replace them, because obviously you don't want a Webflow icon for your website. You want to put a custom icon depending on the brand that you were working with. Webflow basically tells you you need one image at 32 times 32 pixels and one at 256, and so you want to make sure that you change this. You can go through and change the localization for the form submission, and you can just review these settings here. Maybe you want to display Webflow branding in HTML, maybe you want to turn that off. So this is just like a quick review to see what's in here. And after you've made sure that this is clean, it's time to go and connect this website to its domain. So far we've been publishing it on what's called the staging domain, the webflow.ai domain, and obviously what we want to do as we make this publish is we want to publish this on a custom domain. Now that leads us to the question of we need to pay for hosting. We need to pay Webflow for hosting. And so if we'll go here, if we go to the publishing, it will basically tell you, hey, to connect this to production is basically a custom domain, you need to upgrade the site plan. And so we can go here into the plans and choose the plan that we need. In this case, basically just because we've used the CMS on this website, we're likely to use the CMS. And so we can choose this, of course, build monthly, build yearly, and we can choose to upgrade. Now, here is an important step of the process. When you will click upgrade, Webflow will ask you whether you want to pay on your own or charge this to a client. Now, this is important because if you will pay for hosting yourself, you will not be able to move this website to your client's account, which you will want to do. We'll talk about this in a second about transferring the project, but let's focus right now on the simple solution. Let's say you're building your first website or your portfolio website. It's going to stay on your account. So you just want to make sure that you pay on your own. And once you do this, this will unlock the publishing and connecting to a custom domain. Now, I'm not going to do the full walkthrough of connecting to a custom domain because actually the process is a little bit different depending on where you bought your domain. So there's a lot of big and famous domain registry like GoDaddy or One-on-One. There's a lot of them, and depending on which one you purchased, you might have a very easy setup, as in you put in your credentials to where you bought your domain, and Webflow will do the sync that they basically sync to most website domain registries, or you would have to do some manual DNS settings, meaning you'll have to copy some numbers and set this up. So again, Webflow has a complete guide here. It depends on where you bought your domain, so I'm not going to go into this right now. You can go here and see which one is right for you. So this is it, right? If you're doing your own website, you've purchased a plan, you've published, you connected to your domain, and then you will have to go here and select your custom domain and make sure that it's published to it. And then you will have to decide whether maybe you want to remove the staging and unpublish it so you don't have duplicate websites. Or maybe you're working on both as you're adding new pages and keep working. You're always, the best practice is basically you're working on new features, new pages, new designs on the staging. And once they are approved, you basically move them to your custom domain, the production domain. So this is how you would handle your own websites. That being said, when you're working on a client website, you would probably want to have the website hosted on their own account. So they own the website, and you finish the project, you can go on your own, and they actually own the account and the website itself. For that, they would have to create a free Webflow account. They don't have to pay for the Webflow account. And then you would click here to transfer the website. Now, you can do it either before you set up the custom domain, right? As at this page, like we are right now, we finished building, we can go here, we can click transfer, and then I'll be able to put in the email which they use to create an account, and then I'll just be able to send the account, the project over to them. So this is a first option, but then they would have to connect the domain, everything that I've just explained, buy the site plan, and then hit the connecting the domain and put in the login. If they're okay with doing this, then that's okay, and you can transfer the website at this point. But from my experience, a lot of clients struggle with the technicalities of how to connect the domain, and they will need your help going through this process. And so a lot of times you would want to publish and connect to the domain on your account and only then transfer to them. Now, if you have paid from your own credit card on the hosting, you will not be able to transfer the project to them unless you cancel the plan and you detach the hosting. And then unless when you purchased it, you purchased using their own the client's credit card. So when you will do that, basically it will open up a UI where you're going to basically send the client basically a request for payment. They would put in their own credit card, and then you can finish all of the domain connection on your end and then transfer the website to them along with the connection to the paid plan. So this is probably the process that you're going to go through when you're building client projects. And the last thing that I want to mention is that usually after I transfer, there's two things I do. Right before I transfer the website, I usually go here and create a duplicate of the site. I just want to have a copy. A lot of times, once I've submitted transferred the project to my client side, they start messing with things. Maybe they delete some of the styles. Maybe they ruin something. And so it's always good for me to have a copy of the website just before I completed the project on my account, just for as a backup or as kind of like I have a copy on my own site. To me, I feel safer this way. And this is the first thing. And the second thing, after I transfer it to them, I usually record some kind of a training for them on how to use the website. So I've already showed you that, your clients most of the time might be working through the editor, right, to edit content or maybe add CMS items. So I would record a video using something like Loom where I would just basically say, hey, dear client, so this is your new website. Look, when you're going to the editor, you'll be able to double click here, and then you'll be able to add the text, or you'll be able to open up the collections here, and you'll be able to add a project through here. And I basically walk them through how to use the designer. Of course, if you're building page templates and your clients can build their own pages, maybe I would include that in the client training as well. But again, this is part of my process on how I deliver the websites to the client. And with that, the project is complete.